Hello everyone, and welcome back to a video, where today I am going to be starting a new series for an idea that I've been thinking about for a while. I want to try my best to think up a fictitious PVZ free, because the one we're getting, or if we're even getting it, is extremely disappointing and I believe uninspired. So this is not really going to be a fleshed out PVZ mechanical, gaming coded video, because I'm not interested in that. I'm more interested in giving more, inspired designs and ideas for different plants that can come out through the game. And the theme of this PVZ game, if it had a name, it would be PVZ Travel Aboard. Like travel aboard, but gourd, because PVZ and plant puns. It's a very integral part of the franchise. And as you could probably tell, the theme of this one would be you travel the world and go to different locations all throughout the world, where there's different plants and different zombies and different environments. And the first world is the Grand Canyon, which is what we're going to be going into now. I've made 5 plants. 2 of them are from the older games with redesigns and in some cases slight reworks. And then I have 3 new original plants to show you. So let's get right into it. I just want to say before we start, I want to address the fact that I have not gone over plants like plants that you would find in the tutorial world, areas of the game, like sunflower and pea shooter. I just think I was more interested in getting straight into the new stuff, because I think it would be quite, uninteresting to just redraw a bunch of the old, the starter plants, like, pea shooter, sunflower, cherry bomb, those fellas. But if you want to see that, just comment and I can do that next, because I do want to redraw them, because I like drawing these characters in my style. Anyways, let's go back to the video. So first off, we have a very classic plant that I'm going to be bringing to this world. Now, you are probably thinking that this is very similar to the Wild West from PVZ 2, which is correct. And I mean, it will always be that way because it's a desert. There will always be we're going with that cowboy desert aesthetic. So yeah, there is some overlap, but my goal is actually just making the plants you can get in these areas. I want them to correlate more with the area in real world, because like in the PVZ 2, like, why do you get plants like winter melon poult? It doesn't really thematically make sense. So I'm taking this more of an approach of what would be found locally in that area. So, as you could probably see, my first pick is jalapeno. And yeah, I really wanted to take my own approach to this very classic character. Took a while to get the facial expression to something that I liked, because of my more simplified style. I understand that it's not for everyone, but I've simplified the eyes and across all of the plants. So if that's not your thing, I'm sorry, but I'm going to be sticking with it throughout the whole art process. A big thing I'd like to do and use is gradients. So what I've done here is made a gradient from green down to orange, which is not seen in the original plant, and I really think that adds a bunch of detail. With these plants, I liked going with like a very harsh shadow and shade, which it's not my normal. It's definitely not what we've seen from PVZ before, but I think that it adds my own style and flair to it, and I think I really enjoy it. And the last thing I do is add some subtle scuffs and spots on the chili, just to give it a little bit more character. And yeah, after that I just do some more details to make it look a bit more insane or strained. And that, after adding a shadow and signing it, that is my rendition of Jalapeno. He works the exact same as the original games, cost 125 and does the whole thing. The next plant I'll be bringing back from a previous game is the Tumbleweed from PVZ 2. Now, the way Tumbleweed is something I do not like, for it is part of the whole era of PVZ where, you know, power creep and just making a plant do way more than it needs to. I'd like to bring him back to a more simple idea where it's basically just walnut bowling. You pay 100 sun, and he rushes down the let's say 150. You pay 150 sun, and he rushes down the lane, and basically acts as a walnut from walnut bowling, but he does half the amount of damage as a walnut from walnut bowling would do. So it would take 2 of them to get rid of a brown coat, but the value in it is how he bounces across all the different zombies. His design is quite simple, but I really didn't like the design in PVZ 2, and so I definitely brought my own spin to it, making it a more realistic and grounded design, and something that actually looked a bit like a Tumbleweed while still being stylized. And yeah, that's Tumbleweed, basically. I'm just adding the highlights in here, and I really just think that a basic plant that acted basically like walnut bowling would be a very good plant. As I said, I'm not really heavily focusing on the balance and all of that. If you have any better ideas and, you know, problems with the plants you could see, in the comments you can maybe try think of ways that I can better the stats of the plants and etc. Because I'm more focused on the art here. And now the fun begins. This is going to be my first new plant added to PVZ 3, and his name is Perom Maniac. And now he's based off what's called a prickly pear, which is this cactus that grows this fruit, which is bright red, and I've actually had it. It's quite nice. I don't think it's an actual pear, but I just thought it was a very cool idea for a character for PVZ. Now, prickly pear, or Pyromaniac, which is a play on words, a pun, because it's supposed to be pyromaniac and pear, so Pyromaniac. He's got a focus on explosions. So basically, his whole gimmick is he costs 100 sun, and you place him down, and he slowly the prickly pears stop growing onto his head, and basically you can tap him or click him, and he it will shoot one of the prickly pear randomly onto the field. And the longer you have him on the field, the more prickly pears he grows, to a max of 5. And then when you tap it, they'll all go in random places. So basically, there's value in keeping him for as long as you can. So you can either use him quickly to just get off a little bit of damage, or get your value by just holding on to him until you have a good opportunity to just click him, and then all of his prickly pears go flying. So he's sort of supposed to look a bit like sort of a crazy yet like intelligent, sort of weird, sort of just sort of a maniac. So here we have his design with his cactus at the bottom. He has a little bit of a flower sprouting from one of the sides there, just to add a bit of color variation. And as you can see here, I'm planting. I'm placing all the prickly pears and getting their color in. It adds a nice little bit of contrast. So as you could, the damage of these prickly pears is about the same as a potato mine. So pretty good. He costs 75, so he costs a little more than a potato mine. But the real downside to him is there's a really slow recharge time, and also you really have to wait to use that damage. I think I don't know an exact time like you should wait, but I was thinking maybe like every 40 seconds he gets a new he grows a new explosive. so you really have to hold on to him if you want him to do damage. This is when I started doing shading. This guy took me definitely the longest out of the 3 new guys I made, but adding some shading to him really. So this was my first artwork of the day. So this did really sort of take a while to get into the swing of it, but in the end, I think he's probably my favorite out of my new ones, just because I love his design and I love his idea as a plant as well, and he just fits really well into the I think the PVZ cast. And yeah, there's not really much else to say except he's a plant and I like him. This next plant, I sadly only started recording quite late into the drawing of this character, but this is Old Joshua. Now, Old Joshua is based off a Joshua tree, which are these really old, sort of staggery trees that you find in the area around the Grand Canyon. So he's a big boy, and he's actually a sun producer in an interesting way. He's a wizard. Basically, he's going to cost about, I'm not too sure, but he's going to cost about, let's say, 300 sun. So he's a big investment, but what he does is he has a random chance of his roots going under the ground and snatching a zombie, and then that zombie will produce sun for the amount of time that it's snatched. This is sort of similar to Sunbeam and the other plant from PVZ I can't really think of. But I like those ideas. I think that they needed to be simplified, and I think this does quite well in doing that. I like he's sort of got that old wizardy design because the trees look sort of old, and they are old. And I actually quite like the idea of, if you've noticed, the leaves are stylized in a way to make them look a bit like their sun. So it sort of ties into them being a sun-producing plant. I do have to shout out Slipstream for helping me with this idea. If you haven't already, you should definitely go check out their channel. They make really good Fortnite videos, and very entertaining, and probably better paced than this. Anyways, that is Old Joshua. Last but not least is a plant called Foxtail, which is based on an actual plant called Foxtail that grows in the area. Now, Foxtail is this big bushy plant that really is quite unique, and there's a version of it which has this big tail, which is called a foxtail, and I had to take the opportunity to make a fox-themed plant, similar, like an animal-themed plant, similar to cattail, but it's a lobbing plant instead of a missile plant, and I just had to take that opportunity. So this is sort of like, I imagine, like cattail's cousin or something. So basically, its whole thing is you plant it, and it shoots, it lobs, sort of, it's 200 sun, you plant it, and it lobs very temporary, like spikeweed sort of plants, which as the zombies walk over it, it damages them. It doesn't slow them down or anything, but yeah, it adds value by just sort of shooting down these sort of spikeweed-esque plants. That they do more damage than spikeweed, but they're not permanent. It's definitely not going to be enough to like kill a cone head. I mean, a bucket head, but it'll definitely be enough to kill a cone head, and it's very useful because, like, it deals with a lot of zombies at the same time without splash damage, basically. And yeah, I'm not quite sure on the whole mechanics of this character. I just really enjoyed the idea, and I had to make it a lobbing plant. So if you have any better suggestions for Foxtail over here, you just need to hit me up in the comments, and yeah, probably definitely could think of something more unique than that. But for now, that's sort of its beta idea. And as I said, these aren't really going to go any further than this. I'm just very interested in making plant designs. As you can see here, the leaves are kind of shaped like a little fox head. It almost kind of looks like Bulbasaur, which is not intentional, but I like it. I think he's a very cute boy. That yellow, which is also found on the Foxtail plant, really adds that contrast, as well as that like sort of pale green, which is, I suppose it's sage, which is found on the inner gradient of the plant. And that would be Foxtail. So, and that's it for all of the plants added to the Wild West world. Not Wild West, that's from PVZ 2. That's all of the plants added to this fictional first world of mine. If you have any ideas on ideas of other plants, I'd love to expand on this, because I understand 5 isn't very much, but I wanted to just make a shortish video sort of explaining how the concept and the ideas. And you better watch out, because next up on our stop is Bangkok. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.